From the Gospel of Luke. He has brought down the powerful from the thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. From 1 Corinthians. Consider your own call, brothers and sisters. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were powerful, not many were of noble birth. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. Well, God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, things that are not, to reduce to nothing things that are, so that no one might boast in the presence of God. He is the source of your life in Christ Jesus, who became for us wisdom from God, and righteousness, and sanctification, and redemption. In order that, as it is written, let the one who boast in the Lord. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord be with you. There was such a painful experience in some way for me to meet this young girl who I don't even know her name. And I can only assume her age as 6, 7, or 8 because she seems to be just a little younger than my 9 years old son. Just 10 days ago in the southern part of India. It was a rainy day and the land was pretty wet when we visited her community and gathered in the middle of the uneven mountain hill with the stones on the ground. There were a couple of 100 people who welcomed 12 of us, foreigners, delegations from the WCC from all over the world. But this little girl, along with other children and hundreds of people, sat in the muddy, wet outside ground without any shoes on it, on her foot, and nor something to sit on while they provided 12 plastic chairs on the ground for us to sit on. As the part of the Commission on the World Mission and Evangelism Working Group meeting 2 weeks ago, we visited the Agrippa Dalit community that has occupied a land that was formerly illegally owned by a wealthy businessman. We were introduced to a group and told that there are about 600 families living in the tent made by plastic they found in the forested area since 6 years with no electricity. The government has attempted to evict the families by use of police force. And the families have resisted by threatening to commit suicide, which the police has come, whenever the police has come. Some men have climbed the trees and been ready to hang themselves, while this woman poured kerosene on themselves and threatened to set themselves in fire. Even the children born in this community are not registered and lack the citizenship and any official status, as well as rights. They are living in very vulnerable positions, pushed to the margins by the Indian society, and excluded from justice and dignity, so they feel worthless because of the caste system until today. They are discriminated, oppressed, totally ignored, and segregated from their society. They are nobody less than the lowest human and considered as pigs and untouchable because of their identity as Dalits. Just like this little girl I met in India 2 weeks ago, Mary is also powerless woman, poor, young, unmarried, pregnant, and at the margins in our gospel story from Luke this morning. In fact, she is pushed to the margins of society. With the same reason, Mary does not even appear in the story of Jesus' birth in the gospel, in the story of Mark. Did you realize that? In Matthew's, Mary's name is mentioned, but she is silent as nobody. She seems hopeless in this unjust social structure. Another reading from 1 Corinthians this morning. Paul is writing this letter to address a number of divisions in First Church Corinth. Social and class divisions are evident in Paul's days as well. Though they were baptized into a creed of neither slave nor free, the believers are struggling in what it means to live in community with those who are beneath them, under them, lower them, and those who exercise social privilege of the social structure. This was also the major problem for the disciples following Jesus faced in the first century. Their concept of Messiah was that of a loyal figure who would come in power and liberate the people, drawing off the oppressive social system of Rome. Just like the first century people, we today look for justice and peace and wonder if God is truly in charge and the Messiah has really come in any effective way by the wisdom of this world. I think this is our dilemma, that we continue to value and operate according to the wisdom of this world. It is our dilemma that many of us still believe that God's mission can be done by the powerful to the powerless, by the rich to the poor, by the privileged to the marginalized, and from Western countries to the Eastern or African countries. However, like a witness to our God who chose Mary, who is the weak and nobody from the margins, to be a partner in God's mission. In Luke, she is no longer nobody, but God's mission agent. That she not only speaks here, but also she sings from her vulnerable position. God chose this lowly one, this woman, to be somebody who will bring the Messiah to birth. So she sings. She sings a song of freedom on behalf of the faithful poor in the land. She sings a song of freedom for all who are at the margins in their poverty, still believe that God will make a way where there is no way. Paul witnesses that the ways in which God is working is way different than human ways. It is a very good news for those who believe and confess and claim that we are chosen by God, not because of what the world value and evaluate us, not because the positions that you all hold, not because of your titles, not because of your ability, but through the lens of God. Paul's message reminds all of us that the gospel does not function or operate according to the wisdom of this world. The wisdom of this world marks the foolish of the cross. What does it mean? To be crucified was to fall under a curse. But Paul boldly claims that the worldly understanding and worldly power are the wrong tools to understand the work of God. We all experience in our daily lives that the wisdom of this world leads to division, hierarchies, and social order, with a few privileged and many marginalized. But the good news is that God has worked through these insignificant and marginalized people so that our glorying or boasting is not to be in human wisdom, but in God. God continues to demonstrate God's power by choosing even the weak and the lowly to be part of God's church and God's mission. It allows us to see that God's ways of working in this world are so entirely unexpected that they can only be recognized as powerful and wise by those who have been given the Spirit of God. Over the weekend, leaders from Central and Eastern Europe gathered last Saturday, 9th of November, in Berlin, Germany, to mark 30 years since the fall of the wall that divided East and West Berlin, and to celebrate the pivotal moment in history that marked the end of communism and the reunification of the country. This is another good example that the wisdom of the world led to division in Germany for the last 30 years. For many years, but 30 years ago, but their own testimony, proof of how different God's ways are than the ways of this world. God has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. As a conclusion this morning, I want to invite you to visit the Agrippa Darling community where I introduced to you at the beginning, to meet this girl with me this time. Just imagine. There is a gate at which one controls the movement in and out. Although the community lives in huts or tents made of tree branches and plastic, the area is remarkably clean and very well organized. There are hundreds of people consist of Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and Buddhists. They all gathered together underground to welcome us, 12 of us, and sing a song for us. A song of active hope, a song of collective resistance, and a song of prayer for one another. After our introduction and a few speeches from our delegations, we were invited into one of their tents where they provided hot teas and fresh bananas. They did not have much to offer to their international delegates, but they shared everything that they had. We meet this little girl again. I asked her to take a picture with me to show to my son Micah when I come back. At first, she was a little shy. But then, with a big smile, she posed with a posture for a picture. Then this little girl, for some reason, started just dancing on the muddy and wet ground with no shoes on it. But very softly, happily, and peacefully. She dances of freedom on behalf of the faithful poor, discriminated, alienated in the land, believing that God will make a way where there is no way according to the wisdom of this world. God has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. As Paul reminds us this morning, let us consider our call, brothers and sisters. Let us give thanks to God who invites us to be God's agent to transform this world, not because we are wise by human standards, not because we are powerful, not because God chooses what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. Because God chooses what is weak in this world to shame the strong. Let us give thanks to God, who is the source of our lives in Jesus Christ, who was willing to die in a humiliating way on a cross for you and me. Thanks be to God.